What is up, ladies and gents? In today's video, we're going to be talking all about Zebec. We're going to be discussing what we are seeing here on the charts. I'll be talking about the recent news, and I'll be giving you guys my price prediction for where I think Zebec is going over the next few days and weeks. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Of course, if you are a new viewer, then welcome to this channel. If you do like this sort of content, hit the like button and subscribe for more. If you are a returning viewer, as always, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you all here. And to get this video started, I just want to first talk about what we are seeing here in crypto in general, because I personally think this is something quite remarkable. So if I bring your attention here to the very top right, these are all the cryptos that I cover on my channel. You can see that the majority of them in the last 24 hours are actually green. Of course, now Zebec is down 2% for the day, but that's nothing too major. But nonetheless, most of the cryptos that we talk about here are up today by a few percentage points. Now, you may have seen this, but you may have not. And for anyone that's missed it, if you look at what the stock market is doing right now, we have basically seen one of the worst days for stocks in a very long time. This is literally the one-day chart of the S&P 500. Just look at the selling pressure we've had since Trump announced those tariffs. Of course, they were worse than what a lot of people were expecting, and so there's a lot of fear and uncertainty based around how countries are going to respond and how it's going to affect businesses and everything. And so we've seen an unprecedented dump here on the S&P 500. But now, if I bring you back to crypto, let's start off with Bitcoin here, just because it is the largest crypto. Where is that fear and uncertainty here in Bitcoin? Of course, up until now, we've seen cryptos and stocks move kind of together. You know, we've seen the all-time high in the S&P 500 back in February, and for Bitcoin, you can see it's roughly in the same region as well. But now we are seeing a divergence between stocks and crypto. Crypto is doing so well compared to stocks. Now, why is this important for us here in Zebec? Well, it could hint to us that investors are starting to prefer crypto, which of course is not affected by tariffs compared to traditional stocks here, which of course are affected by tariffs. And at the end of the day, the tariffs are here to stay. There's obviously a lot of negotiations going on between the USA and several countries. But of course, the tariffs are here, and it's crypto that's looking like it's going to be thriving from this new news. Of course, we can see that because crypto, as I say, is green despite the stock market having one of the worst days in its history. And here on Zebec, I do expect this outperformance here in crypto to be very, very bullish for Zebec over the coming weeks and months. If I take you just back to Bitcoin very, very briefly, you can see that Bitcoin here is showing us this triangle chart pattern. We're still holding this long-term bullish support here that's been holding Bitcoin in a bullish trend now for the past few years. And what I expect to happen here on Bitcoin is something like this. I believe that when the stock market does recover from this dip, then I personally think Bitcoin and the whole of crypto is going to outperform this recovery in stocks. Of course, here for Bitcoin, that would mean that as soon as we break past this trend line, we could be heading back to the previous all-time highs here and even higher. And that's going to create a really good environment for Zebec to do extremely well as well. So we're going to talk about the Zebec price in just a second, but in other news that I want to share with you guys as well, in case again you haven't seen it, this tweet here is a great reminder that Zebec is a deflationary token. Every single month they burn Zebec, and in February of 2025 we can see that that was approximately $50,000. Basically, these were the fees that they earned from their Zebec card revenue. And for us holders, that's a good thing because these buybacks reduce the circulating supply of Zebec on the open market. And if the supply reduces and the demand stays the same or grows, then this in the longer term should increase the price of Zebec. So this is definitely a good thing. It's a nice reminder to us holders that Zebec is a deflationary token. And of course, if you've not seen as well, Zebec just the other week had launched their crypto debit card, Zebec Carbon here. If you want to go ahead and get that, just click in the link from this tweet here. I will leave this link in the description down below. But basically, this is a digital card that you can use to spend your crypto, and there's no fees from transferring from crypto to fiat. So for example, if you have one USDT, then that gives you one USD. So there's no So there's no currency exchange fees, and then you can use that USD to spend on whatever you like. So it's a pretty cool thing that they have announced. I think it is a step in the right direction compared to the previous crypto debit cards that I've had. So I'm very bullish on Zebec from this news. Now that was the news here for Zebec and crypto in general. If we now head over specifically to the Zebec charts, just to have a look at where we are and where I think the price is going to be going. These are the trend lines that have my attention at this current point in time. Basically, we have this lower trend line down here. So this is extremely important. This is our bullish support on Zebec. It's been here since the very beginning on Zebec, and it's been tested on multiple different occasions here, at least 5 different times where the price has come down to the support and bounced from here. So we can reasonably expect, if in the worst case scenario we do see prices drop here on Zebec, that this should be a decent support for the price to start heading back up once again. So I kind of see this area as the max bearish case scenario, and currently that's at 0.084 cents here on Zebec. That's roughly 10% down from where we are right now. So again, in my opinion, now is never a bad time to be buying into Zebec, particularly if you believe in this project. I do believe the biggest downside risk that we have is 10% in the downwards direction, which is quite low in general for crypto. Of course, now that we are currently seeing cryptos outperform the stock market, I do expect that when we see the stock market recover, this tariff news starts to blow over and people get less interested in that, then we should see stocks recover. And for crypto, as long as this outperformance continues, I think this is going to be very bullish for Zebec over the coming weeks. I would expect something like this, where we may see a slow grind up to this 0.11 cents level. And of course, if you are a shorter term trader here, I think this is quite a decent trade. If we get past the 0.11 cents level, as you can see throughout Zebec's history, where my cursor is right now, the prices do not like to hang around between this 0.11 cents level and this upper trend line here. It's only taken Zebec each time a few days to reach this upper level here after we've got past 0.11 cents. So if we see a clear breakout to the upside from this resistance here at 0.11 cents, I do believe the prices are quickly going to reach this upper trend line once again. Now, for the longer term holders here, I think this is where things get very, very juicy, because if we start to see a breakout from this upper trend line once again, then we can treat this whole structure like some sort of triangle. And of course, if we see a breakout from this upper trend line here, that's in gray at the moment, we see a lot of trading volume, an increase in momentum, then we could be seeing this as the potential price target here on Zebec from this structure. Now that's sitting at 0.32 cents. That's 124% upside from when we break this upper resistance here. And of course, if we drag that to down here, you can see that from this price level that we're at right now, that's at 248% upside compared to that 10% downside I showed you a little earlier on. So in my opinion, Zebec has a very nice risk to reward level. Of course, fundamentally, Zebec, in my opinion, are doing very well as well. Not only do they have this token that's got a good risk to reward, they're also building, they're also releasing a lot of news. And so when the timing is right here in crypto, when we start to see a little bit more greed come back into the crypto markets, I do think Zebec is going to be a very good performer. So right now, the risk to reward here on the price is phenomenal in my opinion. My most bullish case scenario, just by looking at these price charts here on Zebec, come from this upper trend line here. So this is another trend line of interest, because we can see that throughout Zebec's lifetime, we have these two tops here. And if you draw this resistance going down, then we could potentially be seeing this even larger structure. Now, of course, this is not confirmed. We've only tested this resistance twice. So what I really want to see, if we are going to see a breakout from this extended triangle here, is the prices come up to this level and test it as some sort of resistance. Maybe we see this present itself as some sort of bull flag in an uptrend, but something like this, for example, would give me a lot of conviction that we are going to be seeing this extended triangle here on Zebec. And of course, if we do break out to the upside of this extended triangle, this is something as holders we can be really excited about, because of course the price target from this extended triangle then becomes this distance here. And of course, this gives Zebec the motive to get to near that 1 cent region. That's going to be a very, very big level here for Zebec. The 1 cent would be phenomenal if we can get to this level. Of course, if this extended triangle structure does indeed happen to play out, then we should be seeing this massive 389% upside from this triangle breakout here. So really, really exciting stuff, particularly when we start to see prices rise again on Zebec. Of course, like I say, this is not something that's going to happen in the shorter term. This could take weeks to months to start brewing up here on Zebec. Of course, we do need to build up quite a lot of momentum to start cracking down some of these resistances. The first resistance, the first major one that I want to see Zebec take on, is this 0.11 cents area. Of course, this is a critical area to break, because if we can gather steam enough to break past this level, then we could be tackling this really important resistance in no time. And of course, that's where things, in my opinion, start to get interesting on Zebec. But of course, for now, we are still seeing fear in the markets. But like the saying goes, buy the fear and sell the greed. So again, if you do have a longer term view here on Zebec, I think now is a phenomenal time to be buying. But of course, in the shorter term right now, where there is a lot of uncertainty, the one thing that we are definitely seeing is crypto outperformance. So the signs, the early signs, and that is an early sign of a potential new bull market forming here in crypto. Now, of course, it's something that I'm going to be monitoring closely over the coming weeks. It's too early to say it just yet, but it's looking very promising right now, in my opinion. So that's kind of my thoughts here on Zebec right now. At the end of the day, I am bullish here on Zebec in the longer term. My first price target, in my personal opinion, based on the price data that we are seeing on the charts, is going to be close to this 1 cent region. Of course, fundamentally, I do believe Zebec can exceed that. 1 cent here on Zebec is only a $700 million market cap, which in the height of a bull market isn't even that much. We should see coins that have promising potential reach into the billions. So fundamentally, I do believe Zebec could exceed $1, exceed 1 cent, could exceed 1 cent. But just going off the price data right now, I want to see us reach that 1 cent first, and then we can start predicting even higher levels. So guys, I hope this video was clear to you. Of course, if you are holding any Zebec, do let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, guys, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekends, and I'll see you in my next video.